Well, goodness gracious. Everyone who stuck around for 25 seconds of ear-piercing silence. Welcome to the Missing Wolves post-game podcast live stream thing. I'm Andrew Dukowitz. Definitely someone who didn't forget to unmute his mic after the background music stopped playing and did this entire intro complaining about what we just watched on the TVs. But I do have Steve Hartman from the Splash City Basketball Podcast with me tonight. How's it going, man?
It's going all right, man. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the prettiest game to watch, but we're getting closer to playoff time. So let's stay positive. There was a lot of years where we didn't get to feel this way about the playoffs. So
I was right before we started recording. I was telling you, like, it just reminded me of that Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins season where it's like, all right, they showed for 2 quarters that they can hang with an actual team, and then they lost by 30 so that we can get Karl Anthony Towns. Like, this is great. It's kind of the same vibe I felt tonight, where it's like the defense was great the first half, like awesome. People were swarming. And then the third quarter started and the wheels fell off, and it was like, all right, great, we're going to be the 6th seed.
mhm.
I mean, what was your thought of the game tonight, though? Any overall takeaways that you're even going to remember from this one?
I think it reaffirmed my love of Io DeSumo. Like he makes so many nice, that's like underrated winning plays. Um, I was telling you before we went live that there was I feel like a lot of positives, or like Bones making shots
Yeah.
and kind of kept them in it. And the twin turbos, I think, is that what they're going by?
Yep.
They provide some juice. I I kept wondering, why is Anthony Edwards even on the floor? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Just I don't know what the reason is, but for that, but yeah, I mean, didn't shoot the ball well tonight. Dante still feels like he had a couple, he made some shots, but it just feels like there's too many moments where they go away from what works. And, Nas backing down, Julius backing down, turned into turnovers, led to breaks, and VJ Edgecombe and Oubre was making shots, and it just snowballs. So, yeah, I don't know. There were some positives, but the third quarter was brutal for sure.
It's weird with Dante, and I want to stick with that for a second because, like, I looked it up during the game because it just seems like he's been shooting terrible. Like, and it seems like it's been going on for well over a month. I mean, over the last 20 games, he's shooting 37% from 3. That's like a little under league average, but
Mhm.
like 2.9 out of 7.7 attempts per game. Last 10 games, he's shooting 35%. Last 5 games, he's shooting 37%. Like, I don't know if he made like one more 3 a week, he's probably a 39% 3-point shooter. And
Yeah.
it feels like he's so far away from being like that consistent volume 3-point shooter. And I don't know if it's just because like I'm overanalyzing it or if it's because like he is just in this slump. What are your thoughts on it though?
To me, Dante is all like rhythm. There are like certain shots that he catches it, and it just, it's the swing he catches in rhythm, and he buries it. I think he had 2 of those tonight. Um, but it's some of those late clock rushed, things kind of are scattered, and he has a hard time. And so I think when the offense isn't flowing, it looks ugly. And tonight he was 3 for 9, not terrible, but 3
Yeah.
for 11 overall. So that, and then you're 0 for 2 on twos, and the overall percentage doesn't look great. But I think, to me, so much of the offense is rhythm. And when they have those spurts where they don't have it, he is one of the ones that really, because he doesn't create his own shot a lot, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like last game wasn't, I don't think, a great shooting night for him, but overall it's not terrible. And it's just that you can see, though, the moments. I think part of it is when Ant isn't himself, which, I mean, tonight, again, I just don't know why he's playing,
Yeah.
but because they look slower defensively, they're worse with him right now. But when he's gone and drawing attention, then you get those skips and you get those reversals, and he's in rhythm. And right now there's a lot of where he's just not. So I mean, Nas looked a little bit uncomfortable early, but he did make a couple as well. So yeah, I mean, just overall, it was kind of the starters that seemed to really struggle. Like Rudy had a lot of rebounds, fumbled a couple balls, missed that one time he had the drive from the top of the key, and it was kind of one of those, oh my God, where is this going moments. Uh, and so, yeah, I think the starters were what, like like -18, -14, -12. And, that's hard to overcome when three of your best players are in that category.
Yeah, I mean the starting five. Oh gosh, we have to scroll way down to get to the starting five here. Bear with me. The starting five, 13 minutes logged together as a unit. They were -8 with a -29.6 net rating. Like that's just
Oof.
that. Like you're just not going to win a lot of games doing
No.
that. I
And
mean,
Ant was 3 for 15, 0 for 7.
yeah,
I mean, again, those minutes, I think, really hurt him. Like, it definitely felt better when Bones and Io were in together and pushing the pace, and, I mean, there's just a little bit more enjoyment aesthetically watching the game, but they definitely seem to be a better team and more competitive with that group.
it does. And Cole in the chat, Andrew, I'm worried about Ant Pack mentality. Nas keeps falling, and I'm scared. Also adds we need to sit Ant and Nas, and we need Jaden back. Like that. I mean, that's kind of where I've pivoted over the last half a week or so. Is just like this team just needs to get healthy. Like Ant did
Mhm.
not look like Ant. I mean, some of that is when you have a knee injury like Ant had, where I think the slang name is runner's knee. Like the only way that gets better is by not using it. So part of it, I wonder if they just threw him out there for cardio. Like, hey, you need
Mhm.
to get 25 minutes of game reps and see how it goes. I I, I guess if that's part of the plan, like if Ant's playing like this, they're probably not going to win a lot of the rest of their games, but hopefully he's like ramped up by playoffs. The Nas thing is, I'm kind of excited for the Wolves to get back in town to get like a chance to ask people, because the Nas thing is he looks legitimately hurt. Like he's grabbing at his shoulder every game. Every time he falls, he comes up with like an ankle thing. Like I do kind of wonder why they're even playing Nas at this point. I mean, what are your thoughts though? Because I'm sure you noticed the same thing where he's constantly grabbing at something.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, Kyle, I thought could have played a little more. I don't know. I should look and see what he had for minutes tonight, but yeah, 14. Like maybe
Mhm.
can you get him to 20 and just kind of grit out these next few games? Like that seems like a logical place. There were moments tonight where like I thought also, and like some of the lineups, right? Like Kyle, Nas, Rudy together, or Julius, Nas, Kyle, all three of them, and then you got really slow, and I think that was the moment where I kinda was like, "You really miss Jaden right now." Like,
Yeah.
that was very noticeable in this game, maybe particularly, so, yeah, I mean, maybe Finch is in a bad spot right now just with, you know,
Yeah.
playing he's got Nas, Jaden, and Ant all hurt, basically, trying to gut through this. But at this point, unless you get in danger of that play-in spot, I mean, you kinda just gotta get ready, right? Like, they proved last year as a 6 seed, you can do it. I mean, honestly, and we probably talk about this more later, but it's probably almost the more, desirable spot to be in if you're the Wolves, honestly. Lakers, Spurs versus Nuggets, Thunder in the first 2
Yeah.
rounds, like, if you had to take one, not that any of them are easy, but, like, if you had to take one, that's the one you would take, I would think. So, it does feel like, man, I mean, you're gonna need Nas for sure. Like, we have to get him Jaden, him, and Ant need to be healthy, or it's just, you know, I don't wanna say it's over, but it's not looking good. So, at this point of the year with this positioning where they're at right now, you almost just say, "Let's get at least a game or 2 off." Maybe come back and just kinda give them a game or 2 to get ready for the playoff run, just get their legs under them again, but, yeah, it's not an easy spot to be in if you're Finch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked up the standings. The Suns lost last night to Charlotte.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, the Wolves have a 4-game lead over the Suns, and I
Yep.
believe they have the tiebreaker. Don't quote me on that because it's not a head-to-head tiebreaker. It's some weird how they did in their like division or something dumb. But like basically, like the Wolves would have to go 0-5, and the Suns would have to go 5-0 for the Wolves to fall into the play-in. Likewise, the Rockets are a game and a half above the Wolves. Like you're probably not catching a team that has a 1.5, 2, 3 game lead at this point in the season. Like the Rockets would have to fall off a cliff. So I do agree
Mhm.
with you. Like it just kind of makes sense of like maybe just give everyone the week and a half off and we just play TJ 40 minutes and embrace the chaos of like Jalen Clark, Bones, and Io as like your point shooting and small forward and bunch of Johan minutes and just see what happens. Like I think sometimes it's overblown when it's like, do you rest guys for the playoff? Like football, especially, right? Where it's like, do you rest your quarterback going into the playoffs or do you try and keep his rhythm? But like this Wolves team is so banged up right now that it's just kind of like, what are we doing if we're just again, Ant, if it's to get him back into game shape, like sure, but everyone else, like, what are we doing almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Ant doesn't, to me, just watching him, and I'm not obviously a doctor, um, but he didn't look fatigued. He looks just like, I
Yeah.
mean, everything was kind of off, like his positioning on defense wasn't great at times, like, it just everything looked like a struggle out there for him, and so, yeah, I mean, I know you want more Julian Phillips minutes. You're a big Julian Phillips
Love
guy, so
Julian Phillips.
let's go.
I mean, I let's call Rocco up, start Julian Rocco, Jalen, TJ, and Johan. Let's just
Yeah.
roll that out there, see what happens. It'll be fun at least. There'll be more to talk about than like this game where it's like, Io was good. I
Mhm.
think again, you look at the first half of their like defense. I mean, they're the top ranked defense over the last 7 games. If you go for their season defensive rating now, they're third in the league, which is wild that this team is the third best defense in the league after everything we've seen this year.
Mhm.
Like now it's kind of the offense that just has been terrible. But again, you're playing with either injured Ant out or kind of this new getting back into it Ant, which yeah, it's just weird team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some weird lineups, and I'm all for that because chaos. Chaos
Yeah.
is at least you can talk about it, right?
Yeah, on my, podcast last week, I was talking to, a guest, and we were talking about the flexibility of this roster, which is, like, one of the advantages if you're healthy, of course.
Mhm.
Um, but I think you kinda see that, right? Like, tonight, there was multiple times where they had, like, a three-guard lineup. They went with a 3 bigger lineup when Kyle was at the 3. And so, maybe there's a little bit of just massaging some of this too that Finch is doing to say, like, "All right, let's see what the 3 bigs look like if we play, a Houston or whatever." Or, if you wanna the Lakers with speed and you roll with the 3 guards and you got Io and Bones and Ant or Dante or whoever is that 3rd guy and, just some of that, like, I don't put it past Finch to just kinda do that a little bit just with the way the last couple of years have gone. There does seem to be some like, "Hey, we're in the playoffs. That's all we gotta do is get in, get hot, get going, and like you said, get healthy." So maybe that's part of it too at this point of the year, but, um, yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like every game with this team, it seems like the next game they could look fantastic and shoot 60%, and you're not so worried about it. But honestly, overall, outside of the 3rd quarter, I didn't think it was that terrible of a night, to be honest.
No.
Obviously Bones played great. There were some things too, like even like the Ant dunk, the backdoor cut that Ant missed from Julius, like, obviously, normally he's gonna hammer that and you're feeling good, but that goes down the other way and they get a dunk, I think, in transition. So there's a lot of goofy plays like that tonight too that, you just hope that when you're healthy, you get those backdoors, you get some of those kind of cuts and things, shake out better for you.
Yeah. I mean, all the other caveats apply too of just like second night of a back to back. Like they did play pretty heavy minutes trying to win that Pistons game. You
Mhm.
know, all of those also can apply to this, but like I do agree. I think there was enough to take from this of it's like, okay, when they're locked in and it's serious, like the defense is kind of like this. And then hopefully we're just seeing pack mentality, I think mentioned or Farah just mentioned that, Ant's trying to knock the rust off, which hopefully that's what it is. I mean, again, looking at playoff seeding odds, I mean, they play the Pacers, and the Pacers have won, I think, one game since the All-Star break. Like, you beat the Pacers, you clinch the 6th seed. You beat the Pelicans with KG in the house, you clinch the 6th seed. Like, I'm not worried that they're not going to get in. I am going to throw us over to an early break, though. And then when we come back, I do want to talk kind of this Lakers snafu and just how obnoxious it is that the Wolves kind of fall into these situations where it's like, now they're going to be in the playoffs against the Luka-less Lakers, which is wild. But ads first. Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. So, again, talk about kind of failing upwards. The Wolves kind of stress the fan base out all season. They are up and down, either winning 5 in a row or losing 4 out of 5 all season, just this roller coaster ride. And now they're setting themselves up as the 6th seed. Lakers are pretty much locked in at the 3. And we just find out this morning that Luka's gone with a grade 2 hamstring strain, which is normally about a month recovery. If you're the Wolves right now, you have to be kind of ecstatic, I think, of like, okay, we're going to play Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and friends for a chance to, have a puncher's chance of making it to the Western Conference Finals again. I mean, it just kind of seems to fit this season, doesn't it?
It would be interesting, and I would normally be excited, but as all Wolves fans know, when the other team's best players are hurt is typically not when we play our best. I think it was early in the year they came in without Luka, and Austin Reeves carved us up with like 18 assists or something, right? So the one thing about the Lakers, though, this year that worries me more than years past is Luke Kennard. Adding that other shooter on the court who's, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. So with or without Luka, I think it's going to be a tougher task this year than it certainly was last year in the playoffs.
I agree with you that like the perfect, like, if I was writing a book, the way I would want that book to end is, and then the Wolves lose to the Lakers in round 1 without Luka, because like that would just be like irony, everything. It would be great, right? As someone who's rooted for the Wolves for the past like 30 years of my life, and have a vesting interest in them playing basketball longer, not shorter. Like I think I'd rather take this matchup over the Nuggets. And I think what's kind of gone under the radar, because the Lakers have been like winning games over the last 10 games, they're 13th in offense, 12th in defense, 13th in net rating, with Luka going on this like all world 35 points per game plus tear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this is kind of the iteration of the Lakers that get into the playoffs, I mean, it could be a situation where if the Wolves actually have, turned a corner and locked in, and this defense is for real, I mean, it could be a a situation where the Wolves are just kind of cruising past them if they don't do the thing that they normally do and
Right.
sleepwalk into games.
Yeah. And if they're healthy, right? Like,
Yeah.
even Ant 90% and Jaden back, I feel like that's enough, right? Nas hopefully can heal up his shoulder too, but I think, against the Lakers, Jaden's always been such a big part of that matchup. Usually he's on Luka, of course, but like if you can roll him onto Austin Reeves and then you put like an IO on Luke to chase him around screens, then I feel like in Dante chasing him around screens, then I like that matchup a lot. So, as if most things in the playoffs, it comes down to health, but I know the Lakers are a little older, and we felt pretty good about that matchup for, I'd say the last couple of years. But at the end of the day, they are the 3 seed and kind of have been cruising. Yeah, I mean, if the Wolves they've flipped the script on us. Now I feel like going into the playoffs, I'm like, yeah, the Wolves can beat them. Because
Yeah.
the last couple of years they've trained you to kind of be like, don't matter if we're 6th seed or whatever. Like we'll come in, they'll be ready, they'll get themselves right, and we'll take care of business. So I mean, I feel like that's what the chat's all about right now. Is everyone's just like, hey, when did we become the confident team going into the playoffs?
It is like this entire year it's been such a weird team to cover because like they don't like lie about it. Like
Mhm.
they're pretty darn honest about like, yeah, we didn't wake up to play insert bad team without their star and like it cost us a game. But then like Chris Finch has said a couple times, like, yeah, the guys just kind of seem like they're bored with the regular season, or like Ants every once in a while drop a nugget of just like, yep, waiting for the playoffs. And it's like couldn't have worked out better for them, as pack mentality says, like trust them not to troll when it really matters. Like again, the Lakers are not I mean, they're the 3 seed. They do have LeBron. They'll have Reeves. DeAndre Ayton has kind of made Rudy look like a fool a couple times this season. Jake Laravia had that game against us. Smart, Hachimura. Like they have competent NBA players, but I mean, if you're going like best players on the floor, 90% Ant is still probably the best. Julius is still probably the second best.
Mhm.
Rudy, the third best. And then you're going like Reeves, LeBron, and then everyone else in the Wolves rotation before you go to Aiton. Like it is. It should be a 4 or 5 game series if there's no Luka, which then you're talking yourselves into like, all right, well, can they beat the Spurs? Which I think it's Cole mentions who's number 12. Exactly. It was never a John Morant reference for all of the internet sleuths that thought Ant posting that
I kind of forgot
was
about that. That's a great
gonna
pull.
bring
Wow.
Morant to the team. It was Jake Laravia all
That was
along.
great.
Um, but like then you're talking yourself into like how can they beat the Spurs, which I do think there is something to say about like playoff experience, which the Wolves have a ton of that now, right?
They do. And, so it's kind of that time where, like, what are the playoff expectations? If you're the 6th seed, like, I'd be curious what what the Vegas odds are on that first round, because everybody loves to bet the Lakers. And they usually get the benefit of the doubt even last year. But after, the Wolves, 4-1 last year, like, would the Wolves be favored in that series? And would that be even good for the Wolves, like mentally, the way they want to be that underdog and they want to play that role? So, I mean, yeah, all things being equal, if the Wolves are healthy, they should roll through that. And then you get to the Spurs and you're thinking, assuming the Spurs,
Yeah.
right? Of course.
I think we can assume the Spurs are gonna take care of Houston.
We
Or
can, but last year we didn't, we thought the
not
Rockets would.
Houston.
uh
Who would be the 7-8 or the 7-8? Now I'm
Phoenix is
snooping. You
7.
keep talking, I'll snoop.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Spurs, again, I'm just not sure that we're all, you know, mentally worried about the Spurs. Like, I would love to see that matchup. I mean, I think Julius, that those moments where he locked up Wemby and got physical, playoff games are usually officiated, a little more loosely, a little more physicality. that benefits the Wolves in that game. Experience matters. Yeah, they got DeRozan, but outside, your main guys, Castle and Wemby are still pretty young. So they always, have been, Bill Simmons and the Ringer. They've been talking about the Spurs and like, can they do the thing that most teams can't do, which is make the playoffs and then make their first run right away. And it is just really hard. You'd hope the
Yeah.
Wolves' experience would play a role in that. I'm not always sure how much game knowledge we have at times, like the things we do sometimes. I'm like, does this even matter that we have 10-year vets doing the things they do? But it should. I think where it matters is your closers, your ants, your stars. Wemby hasn't gone through that playoff series grind where he's had to kind of, face that same opponent, making adjustments on him game after game. So, I mean, there isn't the matchup I would be most worried about. It would be the Thunder, and if
Yeah.
if we're 6 seed, it's going to be a minute till we'd see them. So I would go in pretty confident against either of these two series that we could face.
The 7-8 seeds right now are the Suns, and Portland just overtook the Clippers because San Antonio beat them. So Portland has a half game lead. Like you'd assume, you know, San Antonio takes care of that. But like, yeah, it's gonna be interesting with the Spurs because it is kind of like, can Wemby play again, like assuming they go through their first opponents relatively quickly in like 5 or 6 games. Like, can Wemby play every other night for 3 straight weeks, playing 30 something minutes a night? Like, that's something he's never had to do in his career, which I think, to your point, like Ant's done that, Jaden's done that, Julius has now done that, Rudy's done it every year for a decade. Like,
Mhm.
there is something to just getting your body and mental acuity ready for like, this is just gonna suck for the next couple months. And then it is like, I feel like, yes, the Spurs have a young team, like obviously Castle, Harper, Wemby, but they also have like Fox, who has been in the playoffs once in a while. Harrison Barnes has been through just battles. I mean, they do have some guys that I think they can lean on. I mean, even Keldon Johnson has been through some battles. Like, it'd be tough, but again, I would be interested to see what the Vegas odds would be, because
Mhm.
if the Wolves go out and sweep the Lakers, you're probably looking at the Wolves being favored in that. And then you're like a Shea twisted ankle away from being in the finals, right?
Or a Nuggets upset.
Or a
You
Nuggets
know,
upset.
I
Where
mean,
somebody said in the chat, like, yeah, the Nuggets took OKC to 7 games last year. Like, the
and they got
Nuggets
I
upset
think they
it.
got better, and Aaron
Yeah.
Gordon is coming back, it sounds like. So, I mean, the Nuggets are an interesting matchup for the Wolves always because, what the Wolves have typically struggled with is Ant being able to get to the rim against some of these bigger teams, and they don't really have that type of rim protection. So that's always a fun matchup, I think, for the Wolves and maybe for Ant. But yeah, I mean, I going into the year, I thought the Nuggets were the number one team that could take down OKC.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's anything that I've seen really that, you know, contradicts that at this point, other than they haven't been healthy. But yeah, pushing them to 7 games last year, and you add Hardaway Jr. and get Brown back, and you get Cam Johnson, and I feel like they got a lot better. They got more depth for sure.
I mean, pack mentality adds, they're hobbled and they have like 3 guys with hamstring issues. Like, that's the Nuggets are in a very similar place with the Wolves, except for like, if they want home court advantage, they have to play out the rest of the season because the Rockets have been fairly healthy. They're just a weird team.
Yeah,
Um, so it's going to be interesting to see what the Nuggets do too, because maybe they're just like, screw it, we don't really care about it, and they start resting people, let Houston take the 4 seed, and then just deal with that extra road game. I mean, I kind of said it at the beginning of the season of like, is this Wolves team a championship team? And I've kind of said it throughout the season, like, no, they're not. Like, when you're looking at like the championship caliber teams of the league, like San Antonio, I think is probably like odds on a better built team than the Wolves. Like, Oklahoma City is a juggernaut. the Pistons have been phenomenal. Boston getting Tatum back looks like they are incredibly scary. Nuggets have a guy that's going to win like 6 MVPs before he retires. Like, objectively, the Wolves don't have the same type of like firepower and roster making sense as those teams. But then Luka gets injured, and it's like, okay, well, we can get past them. And then let's say Wemby can't hold up to the playoff grind in his first playoff run. All right, well, then you can kind of go past them. And then it's like, if Jalen Williams rolls an ankle, or the Nuggets and OKC go 7 games and they're gassed, then you're just like one bit of luck away from being in the finals. And honestly, that's what it takes some years. Like, I kind
100%.
of point it back to like Toronto. Like, Kawhi misses that crazy shot to send Philly home, and then the Warriors don't like implode with injuries. Toronto doesn't win a ring, but instead
Mhm.
we kind of all remember that as like the Kawhi season, which that that might just be that's probably the Wolves' path this year. And again, with how weird it's been, that seems pretty on brand for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, the Wolves have shown some level of mental toughness in the playoffs. They get
Mhm.
to that Western Conference Finals and they've struggled, but, like, even this year, they will battle the OKCs and the Spurs. Like, they don't I think you've even talked about it, like, they believe they're the best team, and like you said, something goofy happens in a game or 2 and you can steal one or somebody gets hurt, things change dramatically. You never really, like, I know there's been like, "Oh, the Wolves go to the East, they're gonna be in the finals every year." I'm like, "Dude, you still got the Celtics and the Pistons over there. There are no easy paths in the
Yeah.
NBA, and you're gonna earn it no matter where you're at." But you're right, like, sometimes it just things happen, and you have to take advantage at that moment because you don't know how many opportunities you're gonna get. I mean, Phoenix is a great example, Devin Booker, right? Oh, it could
Yeah.
be a dynasty. Well, they haven't been back since. Even the Nuggets, they won theirs, and you felt like, or the Bucks. So, and when it happens, it's got to be all in, and you got to have everything kind of fall into place for you, whether it's your team being healthy, everyone else being hurt, or just happen to be making shots at the right time. So that's why when you get in, it's just such a it's important. It can't become like just secondary, like, oh yeah, we're in the playoffs again. Like, this is a chance that the Wolves have, as good as the Thunder are, as good as the Spurs are. You know, the Wolves have shown that they have a top, what, 7 player in the world. They
Yeah.
have an elite defense,
Yep.
and it's possible.
And like, you just can never, like, let's say Dante does go on a heater in the playoffs, and just like you get a 30-point Dante game in game 6 against Oklahoma City. Like, then it's just, what do you do? Like, basketball's so volatile that even like just game to game things can change. But I mean, even look at this year though. Lakers are the 3 seed. They're probably feeling pretty good playing this weird Wolves team. And then Luka's injured and the season's over. LeBron might leave in the offseason. Like, Austin Reeves is, can he be like the second best player on a championship team? Like, it just gets everything more complicated, which I don't know. I would say I think the Wolves are going to be, I hope they're going to be resting the rest of the way. And I guess my other expectation is like that Lakers series is going to be toxic, especially after Ant just went out and like partied on the streets of LA after sending him home last time.
I want to see. I mean, I think you're right. Like, let's rest this roster. Let's get right. Just own the 6th seed. Nobody cares. Let's embrace this LA matchup. Let's go out there. Ant can just feel good, get going again. Jaden can lock down everybody, and let's go do that. And then you take care of the next one. But, like, number one right now is they got to get their bodies right. They got to get healthy, get feeling good. I want to see Bones Skelly more in LA,
Yep.
but, like, I'd rather see Ant just be Ant. So let's get him right.
Yeah. And you mentioned it a little bit ago. I wanted to just jump back on it. It's just like the roster flexibility this season
Yeah.
when you're going into the playoffs. I mean, we've seen Finch in past years not be afraid to pull levers. I mean, there's games last playoff run where Rudy's playing 25 minutes and he's extensively a backup center and Nas is out there a ton. We saw games last year where like Jaden didn't close and Nikhil, Dante, and Ant closed ahead of him. Like this year, having Kyle back, I think gives them a big lever with Julius to pull. And then just like the Io and Bones off the bench, you can just be so you can just have so much more creative. Like you can go super small and trust Io to play up in size. You can go with Jaden at the 4 more consistently this year. You can trust Kyle as a center. Like I do think that is something that this season maybe you did lose a little top end talent with like Nikhil moving on and Mike falling off a cliff, but like just the options they have. I thought that was a really good point you made because they just have more options.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the way the roster sets up again when healthy, because you got enough guys now where until they made the IO trade, you kind of had to hope Bones or Nas got hot off the bench. And now you
Yep.
added another guy off the bench, and you added Kyle, who's the stabilizer and can do a lot of different things for you and moves the ball really well. I felt like tonight there was a little bit more cutting and movement. I know it wasn't always great, but and I think that's the other thing I noticed with Io is guys are getting outlet passes and hit aheads more frequently.
Yeah.
I feel like when Ant was kind of the primary ball handler, Rudy'd get a rebound and it was okay, pass it over, we're walking it up, and now it's out and it's gone and they're moving. And so I think in some series that could really be a difference maker if you can get like in tonight's case, Bones where he had 8 straight, right? Something like that
Yeah.
in a playoff game is really, really important. So that to have some ability to play big, to play small, to play fast, slow it down, they kind of have all the things that you need to do that. And now again, same thing on the defensive end with Dante. You don't have to have him and then hope Ant is going to play some defense this year.
Yeah.
You have Io who can also do the chasing and Io getting over screens tonight. I thought was awesome, and that's the stuff that Dante does in the starting lineup. So again, you have multiple guys doing that, and that should help come playoff time.
I had Benny Hughes on the pod from Canis last night and just like it, it's we were kind of talking about off-season stuff of just like Julius is probably the most obvious like lever to switch if you're going to pivot. His salary just makes sense. Like what if they were to turn Julius into like Mikal Bridges and you're rolling out a starting lineup of like Io, Ant, Mikal, Jaden, and Rudy, and Ant is the worst defender on the team, like legitimately. Like they do have, even this season with the defense rolling into form, like next season, I it might be this might just be like a historic defense next season, depending how they pivot. Cole, we'll finish with your question here. Do we think Finch just runs the same plays and saves everything for the playoffs? Um pack pack mentality just shoots down everyone I say. You don't like Sabonis, you don't like Bridges. It's fine. DeJounte Murray, that's my other one that I like. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest. I think Finch allows players to freelance a little bit more during the regular season, where he draws something up on the old grease board in a timeout, and then Ant gets an isolation and it's just like F the play, I'm gonna go cook. And in the playoffs, I think guys just lock in more and are like, all right, we'll listen, we'll do what Finch says. Like that's traditionally why I think it goes a lot better in the playoffs. But I do wonder like what your take is on it, because like you have coaching background. Is that kind of what it feels like to you too?
I mean, there's always going to be some things you want to hold in your back pocket, and it's maybe something you test out February, right? Like you're playing, I don't know, Brooklyn or something, and you throw something in, and but at the end of the day, it's Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. And I
Yeah.
think there's some things they can run. But the playoffs are so matchup dependent, right? Like I think of the NCAA tournament too, and when people are picking brackets, it's like, well, yeah, that looks good on paper, but if they run into this one team, like that's a bad matchup for them. And so when you get in the playoffs, I think you know, that happens on a nightly basis where you come out, you might have something in your back pocket and they throw something that you're not ready for. and then you're pivoting in the next game. And so at the end of the day, these guys like SGA and Jokic and Ant are the guys for a reason, because they can kind of make those, even if you have everything done right on defense. We've seen Ant hit that, above the break step back three, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And so, you try to put them in some positions to take things away. But I think that's where, I don't know how much Finch had to do with some of this stuff, but like having that flexibility with Kyle and Io now gives him more chess pieces to do things with versus what he probably had, the first half of the year.
Yeah. And it is like, I've said it a few times, but like Chris's superpower as a coach, I think, is like the ability to manage egos, like mentalities. I mean, like even look at like the Rob Dillingham thing. You have the 8th overall pick that you're not playing for, reasons that kind of make a little bit more sense now that we've seen him in Chicago getting big minutes. Like, having the ability to have that guy still locked in and cheering on his teammates is like a testament to, like, Finch is really good at that stuff. I also think he probably draws up some really good plays that never get run because the inbound goes to Ant or the inbound goes to Julius. And I mean, you said it, Ant's one of the 7 best players in the world. Like, if Ant thinks he has a mismatch, that play goes out the window, and you live with it. Like, that's part of being a coach. I do think Finch doesn't do himself favors sometimes because he is always falling on the sword and being like, yeah, I should have done this better, and never, which would probably go even worse if he was just like, yeah, my guys didn't listen to the play. This sucks. But I do think there's some of it where, Finch has that kind of, I don't know, it's like a Midwestern attitude where it's kind of like, ho hum, we'll get him next time, even though he's from the East Coast. Finch is an interesting guy. That's the moral of the story. Steve, I do want to give you the floor, though. Where can people find your podcast? Anything you want to plug? Any more watch parties coming up? The floor is all yours, sir.
No watch parties. March Madness. We got Final Four coming up, of course, but we won't be doing a watch party for that. No, Splash City podcast on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky, Facebook. And then, just anywhere you get your podcasts. We do a lot of high school, college, and Wolves talk. So I kind of try to cover anything related to basketball that Minnesota fans would want to watch and talk about. So we had some fun conversations about the state boys basketball tournament. Some great high school players. If you don't follow it, super fun. A lot of underclassmen. So, SplashCityBasketball.com as well.
I do. That just reminds me. I don't know the gentleman's name, but former Minnesota Mr. Basketball decommitting from Texas Tech after one season and going into the transfer pool. What's your take on that?
Yeah, Nolan Groves from Orono. It was interesting. He set the Texas Tech freshman record for rebounds in a game. In like the second game, they were missing like 3 starters, so he started. He's only a 6'5" guard, kind of known for his scoring. But he got like 16 rebounds and then, just didn't play a lot. Texas Tech was pretty talented team. JT Toppin got hurt. Otherwise, they probably would have been like an Elite 8 team. But interesting. I know a lot of people were talking. Even Shooter over at the Pioneer Press has been pitching him to come back to the Gophers. So I don't know. I don't know what that purse looks like in over in Dinkytown. They retained 4 of their starters already this year. So but yeah, it was, I wouldn't say surprising in this day and age. Like these college guys, man, it's if you retain them for more than 1 year at a time, it's kind of impressive. So he's one. And then Daniel Freitag from Bloomington Jefferson and Breck went to Wisconsin, Buffalo. He also entered the transfer portal. So I think some Gopher fans got their eyes on those guys.
I mean, might as well come home. That Nico Medved seems like he can run an offense, so why not, right? Steve, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it, man. For anyone that popped in a little bit late, this does get posted over on YouTube and X as soon as we hit and stream. Comes out as a podcast tomorrow. That would be April 4th at 7 a.m. Saturday. I will warn people, there's also going to be an hour-long Lynx expansion draft. Not crash out, but conversation, we'll call it that. That's also going to be posted tomorrow at 7. So if you are interested in Lynx off-season stuff, check that out. We talk draft as well. And we will be back after the Hornets game on Sunday. As I was walking into my office, I was told that the promo for the game is get your fly swatters. So that only made me die a little bit inside. But thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time.